The space I asked for. I asked for space, not because I didn't care, not because I wanted to leave, but because I didn't know how to stay without losing myself. At least, that's what I told myself at the time. The morning I said it out loud, she didn't react the way I expected. No anger, no tears, no dramatic pause. She just looked at me for a second longer than usual, like she was recalculating something she thought she already understood. Okay, she said. One word. That should have been relief. Instead, it felt like something quietly shifted. We had been together almost 2 years. Not the loud kind of love, not the kind people post about. Ours lived in routines. Coffee made without asking. Keys left on the same hook. Silence that didn't feel empty until it did. I had always been good at keeping things together. Career, schedule, composure. I wasn't good at explaining what was happening inside me when things got close, especially then. It started small. I began staying late at work, not because I had to, but because it was easier than coming home and answering questions I didn't know how to phrase. She noticed. She always noticed. "You're here, but you're not," she said one night. I laughed it off. "That's dramatic," I replied. She didn't laugh back. The truth was, I felt like I was being slowly folded into a version of life I hadn't agreed to, even though no one had forced me. Talk of the future, subtle expectations, unspoken timelines. She wasn't demanding. That made it worse. I told myself I just needed room to breathe. A pause. Space. Men like me love words that sound temporary. So when I finally said it, "I think I need some space," I expected resistance. Instead, she nodded. "Okay," she said again. And that's when I should have known something was wrong. The first week felt easier. The apartment was quieter. My phone stayed silent. I told myself this was healthy. I told myself missing someone wasn't the same as needing them. But then the second week came, and the silence changed. It wasn't peaceful anymore. It was empty in a way that made sounds louder. The fridge humming, the elevator doors closing, my own breathing at night. I almost texted her, more than once, but pride is patient, and fear is convincing. I remembered something she once said early on, half joking. "If you ever push me away, I won't fight you. I'll listen." At the time, I thought that meant trust. Later, I realized it also meant boundaries. By the third week, I started noticing things differently. Couples arguing softly in coffee shops. A woman laughing too hard at a joke she loved. Small moments I used to ignore. Moments that now felt distant. Like they belonged to a world I'd stepped out of temporarily. Or so I thought. Then I ran into her. Unexpectedly. A grocery store. Tuesday evening. Nothing cinematic about it. She was standing in the produce aisle, choosing apples like nothing in her life had been disrupted. She looked calm. That scared me more than anger would have. "Hey," I said. She turned, smiled, politely. "Hey." That smile didn't reach the place I remembered. We talked, briefly, surface level. The kind of conversation people have when they're careful not to reopen doors. She said she was doing well. I said the same. We both lied a little. Before we parted, she said something that stayed with me. "You got the space you wanted," she said gently. "I hope you're using it." Then she walked away. I stood there longer than necessary, holding a basket I didn't remember filling. And for the first time since I asked for space, I wondered if I had mistaken distance for safety. But I still didn't reach out. Not yet. Because some realizations take longer, I stopped pretending the space was working. I didn't reach out. But I stopped lying to myself about why. The truth was simple and uncomfortable. I hadn't asked for space to think. I'd asked for space to avoid feeling inadequate. Being with her had forced me to look at parts of myself I'd spent years keeping controlled and quiet. She didn't demand more. She just existed fully. And that made my restraint feel small. I started noticing patterns, not just in us, in me. I'd always pulled back when something started to feel permanent. Not loudly, quietly. I became less available, more practical, less present. I told myself I was protecting my independence. What I was really protecting was my fear. A month passed, then another. Time didn't rush like I thought it would. It stretched, and with it came clarity I hadn't invited. One night, I found one of her sweaters in the back of my closet. I'd missed it before. Soft, still smelled like her. That's when it finally hit me. I hadn't missed the relationship. I missed being seen without having to explain myself. I replayed our conversations differently now. Her pauses, her careful questions, the way she waited for me to arrive emotionally, and how often I didn't. She never chased. She gave space the same way she gave love. Fully. I drafted a message, deleted it, wrote another, shorter this time. I think I misunderstood what I needed. Can we talk? I stared at it longer than I'd like to admit, then I sent it. She replied the next morning. We can talk. I don't know what that means yet, but we can talk. No warmth, no coldness, just honesty. We met in the same park where we used to walk on weekends. Nothing symbolic about it, just familiar. She looked different, not in appearance, in posture, grounded. I'm not here to convince you, she said after we sat down. I just want to understand why you needed distance from me. That was fair and terrifying. So I told her the truth, not the polished version, the real one. That closeness scared me, that I felt behind emotionally, that I didn't know how to want the future without feeling trapped by it. She listened, really listened. Then she said something I hadn't expected. I didn't need you to be certain, she said. I needed you to stay while you figured it out. That landed harder than any accusation could have. We sat in silence, the good kind, the kind that allows honesty to settle. I can't go back to waiting, she added gently. I've learned what I need to. I nodded. I believed her. This wasn't about convincing her to return. It was about acknowledging what we had cost each other and what it taught us. We walked together for a while. No holding hands, no promises. Just two people aligned enough to say goodbye properly. When we reached the corner where we used to split off toward home, she stopped. I hope you don't ask for space from the next person, she said. I won't, I replied. And for the first time, I meant it. She hugged me, not the kind that pulls you back, the kind that releases you. Later that night, alone again, the apartment felt different, not emptier, clearer. I realized something important. Space doesn't reveal what you want. It reveals what you're afraid to lose. And sometimes, by the time you understand that, the person who taught you has already moved on. I didn't lose her because I needed space. I lost her because I didn't know how to stay while I was still learning who I was. And that lesson, that one stayed.